folks here at the Elm Street Church for giving us the use of this beautiful room each year, and for the chairs magically being set up. I'm sure we can help get them down. And just generally attending to all the little details that they don't have to do, but they do as a part of their community support. And they've done it for all kinds of groups, for all kinds of reasons. But it's in the keeping. This gets me to the last point. It's in keeping with the Reverend Dr. York, who really wanted a sense of community. He wanted to encourage it in all its many, many forms. And his favorite author sort of took him down the path towards good community service. In that spirit, I'd like to pause for just a moment in memory of Reverend Dr. York and what he's done for this community in just a few short years that we all knew him. Thank you, and with that, I yield to Emily to take care of tonight's debate for her. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yes. All right, great. So we're going to give everybody 3 minutes just to kind of talk about themselves and what they can offer, their skills, and all that good stuff. Our order is Stephen St. Peter Jr., Mark Eastman, Donald White, Tracy Hare, then Patricia Gray. You guys all remember your order? Okay. Great. Okay. Stephen, you have 3 minutes.
Hello there. My name is Stephen St. Peter Jr. I moved here in 1984 at the age of 8. I would be the first person with disabilities to be on the town council. I think that would be very rare and very exciting for this town. I also help to promote climate justice, and I also have a Facebook group on in this town that has 1,241 members, and I'm all about helping the next generation. Francis, Edie, Henry, they're the part of our next generation, and I'd like to help, promote, energy efficiency. I'd like to help people switch to an electric car. I help with a car dealership in New Hampshire that sells used electric vehicles. So, and if I ever got elected, I'd like to start a ride-sharing program instead of the taxi in Bangor. I'd like to have some of the people that drive electric vehicles here in town give rides instead of a gas-powered vehicle. I think that would be the best way. I mean, we've got 3 charging stations right now. We have 2 solar farms being built pretty soon. And then we might have 2 more charging stations. If we could help reduce carbon emissions in this area, I think that would benefit the town and the future taxpayers. Also, I'd like to see if we can't get some energy efficient homes, solar, possibly, I don't know, like a co-housing, like Belfast co-housing. That would be awesome, but make it low income, because I'd like to see people that don't have the means to buy a house, but get a rental. I think that'd be great for everybody. Much like myself, I'm not rich by any means, but I would like to bring the people here that would like to live in an energy efficient home and not have to buy a house. I think it'd be great. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Stephen. Next, we have Mark Eastman. Sorry.
Hello. Hi, I'm Mark Eastman, BHS graduate of 1990. I left Bucksport for a period of time, returned in 2003, started selling real estate then, eventually eventually work towards ownership of my business. I purchased my office here, so I'm heavily invested. I was rebuilding my office when the mill closed, and been in business since. I've been on the town council for 2 terms now. I've enjoyed that. I enjoy working with the group as a whole. We've done a lot of good things. I look forward to I would like to be reelected in order to work with Sue for another 3 years and take the town in the right direction. I apologize for the abbreviated speech. This is my first go-around with this, and I didn't realize there was a speech involved. But I'm happy to take lots of questions after this. That's about it.
That's great, thank you. John?
Can people hear me without this microphone? Can you hear me in the back?
We are live streaming this.
Oh, so I got to use this?
Yeah,
Uh,
thanks.
Thank you all for coming, and for the people that are watching this. I think the more people that participate in local government, the better. I think it makes governing the town much easier. There's talented people in this community. The council doesn't know everything. It's just your elected representatives. If I'm elected to the council, I guarantee that I will fight to have people's voices, all people's voices, not just the ones who agree with me, but all people's voices to have a place on the council, to speak to us. I think it should be opened up more continually and have everybody present and welcome at all council meetings. I was born in Waterville. I was raised in Vassalboro with poor family, a poor farming family. I was the oldest of 5 children. I went to Vassalboro and Waterville schools. My folks were hardworking, and they taught me the value of hard work, which I carry to this day. There's 2 things that I bring from my family that I think could be valuable. I work hard. I also am careful with how I spend money. I look at everything. I do that in my personal life, and I would bring that to the council. I was on the council before in a very critical time of this town's life. Some of you are old enough to remember. We were threatened, severely threatened by a coal plant that wanted to build right up here in Harriman Cove. It had its foothold in town. It took 4 years of dealing with that. It took that. I was part of a citizens group that confronted it. I was elected to the council, and in 4 years we were able to say no to that. It would have devastated the town. People would have been sick, people would have died, and it would have left the town in a mess. So that's one thing that I will bring, I promise you that I will bring. Any source of major pollution will be confronted unless it provides amazing amount of jobs, amazing amount of economic stability. The one thing that major pollution brings is it brings illness, and it brings people who die. That's the truth, and I think we all should wake up and understand that. It's time in our history where we've understood that. So recently we've been dealing with a landfill. It was citizens groups that I think really brought attention to what the problems were with the proposal that originally was kind of, oh, it might work, it might be a benefit for the town. Well, it wouldn't have been a benefit for the town. It would have been a source of aggravation, it would have been a source of pollution, it would have been a source of a mess and very little money. And we had citizens groups that formed. We had 2 citizens forums in this hall that were well attended, well publicized, and drew media attention. Today, AIM has been asked to vacate the landfill, fix it as best you can. It's still a mess. It's still a mess, and we were able to bring. It's a mess. Right now, there's a pipe going into the Penobscot River with untreated garbage, liquid garbage going in. Understand that. And so we've had enough of that. I've had enough of that. So if I'm on the council, any kind of stuff like that will be confronted. I will not spend money easily. we have a good police, we have a good fire department, they're good people. Any spending by infrastructure people will be scrutinized.
Thank you so much, Dawn. Can we have Tracy?
All right, hi everyone, I'm Tracy Hare, and you don't have deja vu. This is my third run, third time's the charm. So basically, I've been showing up for Bucksport for the last 19 years. I run a nonprofit that has served Bucksport for the entire time. I've talked with hundreds of you over the years. I've gotten to know you, learn your dreams, and figure out what has you awake at night. I'm running for town council the same reason as last year. The things that we're going to be facing in Bucksport over the next several years are areas that I have a particular skill set in. I manage currently a $2.3 million budget, and I have 47 employees. And I've taken an organization that was struggling and turned it around to be one of the largest service providers, not only in Hancock County, but in Maine. I know my neighbors. I always think of Dr. York when he mentioned Wendell Berry to me the first time I met him, and I really like the saying, what I stand for is what I stand on. And I'm really vocal for the town that I live in. I call it my home. My partner, Julia, and I live up on Franklin Street. We bought a house there. And the things that I think I can bring the most to Bucksport, I'm a team player, I'm a strong person, I can think on my feet, and I'm a thoughtful decision maker. So when it comes to housing, if you look around Bucksport, our workforce is essentially being priced out of the market, whether that be home ownership or rentals. I'd like to be at the table with the council to look at some of those proposals and assess it. I've read the comprehensive plan more times than I care to remember. Back in 2017, we said we had enough affordable housing. That's changed now, and I think housing is now out of reach for a person working at a supermarket or a person working at Family Dollar or pumping gas for us. In the same vein, home ownership is out of reach for about 85% of people who live in Bucksport. That's based on the income earners in Bucksport. So that's not to say I know how to build affordable housing or plan on doing that. It's just to say I know how to assess contracts, I know how to work with different funding sources, and I'm a team player to get things done and solve problems. I mentioned that I show up, I show up. And another area, I showed up for the forum that the Bucksport Public Safety put on about the opioid crisis. I supported the bringing on Axel, and because I'm in the ditches with that work every day, we do have a serious substance use problem in our whole state, and unfortunately Bucksport is no exception. So when I'm looking at budgets, I'm thinking of, I'm fiscally responsible, but I'm also looking at our environment and what we need to have a livable community for everyone, even those who are suffering with substance use disorder. I showed up recently, I work really closely with Bucksport Public Safety, and we've helped some of the citizens in Bucksport that are suffering in immense ways. And I'm not afraid to get in, put my boots on, and get myself dirty, but I'm also not afraid to write grants. And I've raised over $1.5 million for the organization that I work for. I'm aggressive for fundraising. I would like to see, I was really thrilled with the Main Street Improvement Plan. I'd like to see if there's any grants for businesses that are further out back, because I think any business in Bucksport could benefit from some of those funds, and I think we could all use a boost. The other part is municipalities are facing inflation just like you and me, and my nonprofit
Sorry,
as well.
Tracy.
And so I'll stop talking. Ask me questions later.
I was gonna say, is that 3 minutes? You have to time me. I'm not timing anything. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Patty Gray. I'm impressed by all of these people around me. I did run for town. Can you hear me? Can you hear me without the microphone? Okay. Is it on? Okay. I live at 25 Franklin Street. I didn't realize you were my neighbor. So I've lived on the same piece of land for 57 out of my 62 years, and proud to say that I am from Bucksport. I love my town. I love my neighbors. And I'm so impressed with everyone that came out tonight. I graduated from Bucksport High School in '79, the year of the mill strike, whoever remembers that. We went to camp and played cards and had a blast. We came home. I married my husband August 4th. We're still married. We've been married for 44 years. We have 2 grown sons and 2 wonderful daughter-in-laws, and we have a 4-year-old grandson who is just the sunshine of our life. We didn't think we were going to have grandchildren, so. As far as working with the town and working with public safety, I am all for that. I am in and out of the police department more times than not. Just trying to keep peace in my neighborhood. Like I said, I have lived in this town for a long time, most of my life, and I know most of the people in town. I love my town. There's no better town in Maine than Bucksport, or in the country. I would love to get in the trenches with, whoever ends up being on the council. And there are things in the town that I have seen that I want to address. Certain places on Main Street that when you go to pull out the parking lot at the pharmacy, when you go to pull out, can you see either way? Because I can't. It's blind. That's a scary spot. That's just one that, I just wanted to bring up. But I would love to be on the council, and I'm sure my 3 minutes are up. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much. I want to start with a few basic questions in the same order. Sort of general questions that come up no matter where you live or, are relevant. So I think 2 minutes per person. I won't cut you off mid-sentence. I'll let you finish your thought. So the first, in the same order we did before, what do you believe is the role of town council in our community? Stephen.
I believe that we need to be a strong voice for all ages, all genders, all preferences. We need to be vocal for everybody. We gotta love them as part of our ohana. So I think that if there's more love and more understanding of what they're going through, and to hopefully advocate for them. I believe that we should advocate for them heavily, and that we should not judge. We should listen to them and make sure that they're okay, and be a part of their success in this town.
Thank you, Stephen. Mark. What do you believe is the role of town council in our community? And I realized I did not at the beginning talk about just the basic rules being relevant to what is in the power of town council, being number one, but also when we get to questions on the floor, we're not going personal. And it needs to be something that everybody can answer. We're not gonna go after a specific person.
Fair enough.
And that's it.
The role, in my opinion, the role of the town council is to represent the people, to be receptive to input, and to not make a hard decision. And, this comes back to the landfill question. And in the beginning, I was receptive to listening, but after some public input, it became clear that that wasn't a good avenue to go down. And I was more than on board with the groups that brought that information forward. I thought it was good that they brought it forward. It was good to hear. And I think, the role is to be representative, to be available, to communicate with constituents.
Great, thank you. Donald?
The role of the council is, I'm not used to this microphone stuff. I'm not used to this microphone stuff. I've lived here since 86. My wife, Charlotte, of 42 years. Just wanted to get that in, because in the first 3 minutes, you just kind of wing it and stuff. But I've lived in this town. We built our house. We lived in a tent. We built our house, and we live there today, and we farm there today. I've been a lifelong farmer. I've also the council is the representative of the people, but of the people. That's the key. All people. All people. Not the left, not the right, not the center, not the young, not the old, not the green, not the yellow, not the pink, not the ones who stand on their head, but all the people. Because that's what makes a community. This community needs to thrive, and it needs to thrive with all members. And we're all in it together. We're all in it together. We're not superior, we're not this or that. The council is not superior to the people by any means. There's a lot of talent sitting right in this room that know a heck of a lot more than I do about certain things. And I would hope that the council, as a counselor, that I would listen and want and foster that kind of input. Because to make a thriving community, your community needs to feel wanted and involved. Okay?
Thank you. Tracy?
I don't pretend that town council has all the answers. First and foremost, I think the role of town council is to represent all people in town. We all share the same sidewalks and roads and schools, so it's really important that town councilors represent the people in the town. I also see, though, that the town council does not have a role in managing town employees. That's the only employee the town council is responsible for is the town manager. So I'm very clear on that. I have experience with boards, and I'm very clear that that isn't my role. My role, if I'm elected, would be to represent you and your needs. I would also have to, however, with that responsibility, use thoughtful decision-making to see, add my expertise to it as well. But generally, first and foremost, the role of town council is to bring your voice to the table and find a way for our town to move forward with decisions if we don't have consensus as a town, to figure out what is best for Bucksport. So people first, Bucksport second, and myself third.
Thank you.
I am open to anyone that would come, call me, we'll have coffee, if I am elected. If I'm not elected, I've always been, I care about my town. I care about the people in my town. And hi guys. I hope that I would be a good listener and a good advocate for everyone. Thank you.
I love the unified concept of listening to everybody and stopping to think. The next is the biggest challenge we face in Bucksport. What do you think that is? And what skills and experience do you have to address these challenges? Stephen?
Okay, so what was that question again?
What is the biggest challenge we face in Bucksport, in your opinion, and what skills and experience do you have to address these challenges?
Okay.
Challenges related to town council.
Okay. Knowledge of climate science. What else? And then, and some of the role that some of the climate science plays in everyday life. And the skills that I bring are, I'm a self-taught climate advocate. I speak to different people about climate science and electric vehicles. I also manage the Facebook group here in town. And I also help people find electric cars that can't really afford the top tier models. So if anybody needs an electric car, I'll be more than glad to, take time out of my day just to find an affordable vehicle.
What do you think is the greatest challenge?
Let me think here. It would be that people underestimate people with disabilities, and sometimes they get the wrong idea that I can't handle town council, but I think that I would do really, really well, so.
Thank you, Stephen. Mark?
Challenges we face, I mean, outside of, societal challenges like opioid and stuff, what's really, some of the things that are here are, and that we've been working on, are development of a Main Street, and the replacement of a town manager. And I think both of those things are things I can contribute to. I was one of the founding members of Main Street Bucksport, and helped get that program off the ground. I still view it as an organization that helps bring what people in the community want to the downtown. And replacing the town manager, I've had 6 years' experience on the town council and feel that I could bring something to that conversation. In addition to that, housing is a challenge we face, as we've heard here, and I think 20 years in the real estate business, has been beneficial towards that as well.
Great, thank you. John?
One of the biggest challenges, I don't know what the biggest challenge is, other than we need to create opportunities for everybody to have a good life that lives in Bucksport. We need opportunities for young people. This town is very much. Can you hear me?
There
The
we go.
biggest challenge, the biggest challenge for me is learning to use this stuff. We need to provide opportunities for everybody to have a decent opportunity to have a good life in Bucksport. Young people need opportunities. They need parks. They need recreation things to stay in town. They need places to have fun. They need places to be young. We need housing for people who do the work. We've created housing for low income. We've created housing for high income. That's all great. That's part of our community. But we need to provide or give opportunities for people with families that are struggling, that need to be able to live in the town and to work. The people who work at Hannaford deserve to be able to live in Bucksport. And that's a struggle. That's a struggle for people. We have talented people who know how to do that, who would help us do that. So it's an opportunity for all people to live, all people to have a voice. If you want a community, if you want to call yourself a town, then be a town. Then be a town.
What skills do you have to address this?
I have developed programs in school systems. I couldn't make any money as a farm. I farm to this day. I picked apples today. I dug potatoes today. I do that every single day, and I've done that since I was 5 years old. But I have been an educator. After I got out of school, I first started working for a paper company in Winslow, Scott Paper Company. So I understand that industry. But I also know how to develop things. I developed a program in Belfast. I worked 20 years for the Belfast school system as a teacher first, and then as a coordinator for SAD 34, back when they had SAD 34s, as a coordinator for learning projects for all people, kindergarten through college. That program still exists today. Go down on Route 52 and see. That was a project that I put a lot of my life into. I worked 7 days a week on that project. So I have those kind of skills. I also know how to talk to people. I know how to listen to people. I know I don't know stuff, but I know people do. I know people do. I know people do.
Thank you so much. Tracy?
Yeah, it's kind of a hard one because it all does come back to housing, right? So one of the biggest challenges, we've had, 4 potential businesses sort of back out of Bucksport recently, and economic development's a real struggle. I think it's a struggle everywhere in America right now with inflation and all of those things. Housing's also a real struggle. Construction costs are out of control for most contractors, and that's what's driving up the housing challenge. Both need the other, right? In order to have a robust workforce, we need a place for workers to live. So as far as skills to the table, I'm a problem solver. I can't say I have an answer today, but I'm a problem solver. I'm an intelligent person that can jump in and look for solutions. But I think I agree with Mark that right now we have a town manager that's filling the role of 2 high-paid positions, right? We don't have a finance director in Bucksport. That's one person in our town manager. Most small towns, most other towns actually, not small, have 2 separate positions, which are 2 separate budget lines. So that's something that we have to take really seriously when we're doing a manager search. I hate to say goodbye to our current manager, but that's our reality. So I'd like to be at the table for that and be a part of the team that discerns the next move for Bucksport. I think our town manager has been really skilled at trying to offset this storm that came at us with the taxes. It hurt us all. It hurt my taxes. And how are we going to, as a municipality, keep up with these inflationary things and want the quality of life that we're used to, like Bay festivals that cost money and all of that. So I have the skills to sort of look at finances with a tight budget and produce, just in my work, I built an organization up that was struggling, and so I just want to be at the table with whoever to take those challenges on. Yeah, good.
Thank you. Yeah. Patricia?
So I have to agree that with pretty much everyone, that housing is definitely a challenge. Our youngest son and his wife and our grandson moved in with us the end of October because their rent was going up $500 a month. They were already paying $1,000, and they're working full-time. They can't afford that.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. I'm hard of hearing, so. But young people, and I'm not talking just young people, I'm saying young people right now have to work twice as hard as my husband and I had to work in order to just get a rent. But the rents are out of control. It's crazy, and I think housing is a challenge for everyone. It's a bigger challenge for some people. It's not so much a challenge for other people. It depends on how much money you make, how much money you can save, the real estate market, which Mark is, he's right on top of it. And that to me is the biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge is what Dawn was talking about. Kids need to be kids, They need to play, and they need to be able to be safe in their town. I mean, when I was a little girl, which was forever ago, it was when the streetlights come on, come home, right? And who remembers the 9 o'clock curfew whistle at the mill? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, time to go home. And my father actually blew that whistle many nights. But if we work together, if our town works together and our council works with our town, then I think we can come up with something. There's, like you said, like everybody said, there's a lot of talented people in this room. There's a lot of talented people in this town. Very smart people that know a lot more than I do. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a couple questions from email before we open it up to the audience. The first is, on many occasions, the town council or economic development committee have gone into executive session when a business proposal is discussed. If a company or organization is requesting funding, TIF, or services from the town, shouldn't the taxpayer be included in such discussions? Because they are people who pay these bills. 1 minute each. Stephen?
Yes, absolutely. When it comes to the taxpayers, they need to be informed. They need to absolutely be involved in this, 100%.
Mark?
As far as the executive sessions, I mean, there's reasons for it. There are reasons for the executive session. Sometimes businesses come forward with a plan that they can't put it out in the general public. We don't discuss TIFs or whatever in those situations, but we do discuss their plan and see if it's something to move forward. And that's just the way it always works. If the public does get input, especially around TIFs, but around, those business decisions, it goes to executive session and then it's revealed to the public if it's going to go forward.
Thank you. Don?
Is it working now? Yes, it is. Thank you, Stephen. Executive session needs to be dealt with only in very personal times. Executive session is a privilege that should only be used rarely. The people of this town need to know that they're involved and welcomed.
Tracy?
Yeah, so a blanket statement would be hard for me, and I'll be honest with you. What I would do, I would approach every discussion with you all in mind. Certainly if a business owner has a proposal and they're not ready for it to go public, I think I would want to honor that. Once it comes to the part where it's actually tax dollar money going into it, that's when I think we bring it to the public. But that may not be the case with every single one. I can't say I'm against executive session. It's certainly not my favorite way to run a business, but certainly I see points in that. I often have executive sessions with our board if it's something sensitive to a particular employee. I think in this case it would be something sensitive to a particular citizen or business owner. And so I think I would be a respectful counselor. I certainly think you could trust me that there would be no backdoor secret part of my process. That's just not how I function. And I believe strongly in a transparent government. I also believe in guardrails as well for functioning government.
Thank you. Patricia?
Well, I'm glad that Mark is here to explain, because you're on the council. And I like what you said, Dawn, about the citizens knowing, because it is our tax dollars. But I also understand that there are certain things, like businesses, that if they're not going to open their business in town, then there's no reason for us to know about it. I'm talking us as taxpayers. However, it is important that we be informed. Can I ask him a question?
Sure.
Okay. So, do the taxpayers know that there is an executive session?
It's on the agenda.
And they
It's not revealed exactly what it is, but it's on
oh,
the
it's
agenda.
not revealed.
No, because that would give the business a disadvantage if they're not ready to come forward with it.
Okay.
They need time to develop it
Okay.
and see if there's,
Okay. All right. I understand that now. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to Stephen, the next question. Can you tell us your feelings on the tax increase we received? Was it fair? Well, let's skip whether or not we think it's fair.
So-
It happened. If needed to run the town government, could it be done over the course of a few years?
Yes. Okay. So I think we could. Times, I mean, everybody's trying to survive. So I wish that we could, make it so that the taxes were lower. In the next few years, I'm hoping that things get better.
Thank you. Mark?
As far as the tax increase, there were a couple of factors that came together all at once. One of them was a road bond that we all voted to approve at $3 million. The second was an increase in EMS and fire coverage, which really I feel is a need and a want the town desired. And the third is the acceleration of home values through COVID. We were at a very low rate, which was going to start to cut into the homestead exemptions, and this is the only equitable way to do it. And we brought them up, where we had to support the services that the town wants.
Thank you. Don?
There are reasons to raise money in the town. There are reasons why taxes sometimes go up. They also can be explained a heck of a lot better than this one was. This one was bang for a lot of people. All of a sudden they open it up and they've got a couple $3,000 increase for some people. That was never explained how the process was. We kept the value during COVID, during the mill closed down. There were reasons, and the town really worked hard to keep taxes down. Okay, that was explained. But when you're going to go, when there's going to be seen an increase in my taxes, in your taxes, that is going to be sudden and significant and hard to pay for some people, that process should have been slowly explained, which in my opinion, it was not. It was, if you were paying close attention and you were glued to what the council was doing, yes, you'd have figured it out. But it was not explained to the general public, who are struggling to survive out there. So it could have been done, in my opinion, with a lot more public forums on we're facing this and it could happen this way. So.
Tracy?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about this one. It was a real blow for my taxes and the nonprofit. We have a house in town as well, and I thought, we've got about 150,000 of ARPA left. Could we have used that? But the ARPA restrictions don't allow for that. It was very clear in ARPA that you couldn't use that for any relief. And I think most of you are aware of everything that, like Mark was saying, the projects that we had and the property valuations. And the reality is we were at 66%. We had to get closer to 100. Many of us rely on the homestead exemption, and the senior tax program added to that. So essentially, we voted on more than we had for money, right? And so, well, I agree with Don that we could have, and I'm a talker, so I think as a counselor, I would really make an effort to communicate with citizens. I'm always happy to have a forum. I was part of the landfill forum and just and discuss it with people. But with this one, it wasn't really a discussion that had a change in outcome. We really, this is a state of Maine problem. There's no municipality in Maine or in the country, in fact, that's not facing this property valuation problem. But what we can do moving forward, it's going to take some time, but we got to look at these construction projects and encourage and incentivize developers to build those $250,000 or less houses. It's doable. So we have to incentivize some different kinds of construction, because this is going to keep happening. We're feeling 40% inflation, right? And so is the municipality. So every time you and I fill our gas tank, the town's filling up 50 gas tanks. That's just a guess, so nobody quote me on that. And,
you,
for my
Tracy.
organization, where I'm talking too much again.
Sorry.
That's okay.
You are a talker. Okay, so I have to say, when I opened up my property tax bill, I was appalled. It's $4,000. It went up $1,300. I think that could be spread out over 2, maybe 3 years. And I speak for a lot of people. My husband and I are on fixed incomes. I speak for a lot of people, you know, in this town, and I will continue to, I will research that, and I will try to work with the council and the people to spread that out over more than 1 year. I mean, that's rough. And I know a lot of you felt that too. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Questions from the audience? Peter, can you make sure people get a microphone? Yes. I think Dawn still has the other one. Sorry, we have lots of alarms for our busy lives. Thank you. Raise your hand if you have a question, and we will bring a mic to you. Yes.
Hello? Oh, I got it. I just am amazed at all of you up there, and I'm glad you're all representing Bucksport. But I just want to say something to Don. I know Don is really into our environment and saving it, and he works at it tirelessly. I can't understand why Tracy has never been elected to this thing. It's nuts. And Patty is always a good neighbor, so.
Well, thank you for your broad insights.
Could you tell us how many vacancies there are on the council? I understand there are 2, and then there's one additional one, so.
Mark?
There are 2 seats up at the moment, but Councilor Morrison resigned after the time period where anybody could where we could do a nomination period. And that's why there was one appointed last week. Paul Garvin was appointed last week to fill the remainder of Mr. Morrison's term.
Patty, I just wanted to tell you that my taxes went up $2,700.
My goodness, Ian.
Yeah, I was very shocked.
700.
Yeah. And I wanted to say that I read some good news somewhere some time ago, and that was building a high-rise apartment building in behind the bookstore. And that, to me, was great news, because that's where I'd like to live.
Aw.
And I would sell my house, and I may have to sell it to pay the taxes.
Hey, now. Do we have any questions? Oh, there we go. Rob.
Hey, over the past, let's say 2 years, what do you think is a great success that the town has had, like a big win for the town over the past 2 years?
I love that. Stephen, 1 minute.
We're going to have 2 big solar farms coming. We have 3 charging stations, but there's going to be 2 more. It's getting to the point where we're going to see a lot more. There's a lot of things going on every day. People are amped, and every time that I talk to people in town, they're excited. So.
Stephen, you're so quick and to the point.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. All right. Mark.
Yep, 2 things over the past couple of years. One would be the roads. They were in really rough shape, and it's really good to see them heading in a better direction. And the second would be, I should know something. My hope would be going forward that PPI, the VPI gets through to create a better sidewalk system and roads in town.
Dawn, sorry.
There's a couple of good things that I think have been fundamental for the long-term success of the town. One is the river is getting cleaned up. That has generational effects. That has generational effects, okay? Not just immediate for us guys right now, but it has generational effects. The other thing is, we were smart enough to say no to being a trash dump for the state. That ain't completely over yet. Stay tuned. AIM is being kicked out of St. John, New Brunswick by the town as we speak. They need a place to go. If that landfill ever, if they ever opened up that landfill to, for trash, understand, we don't know what we're doing with trash in the state of Maine. Bucksport needs to be a leader in reuse, reduce, recycle, not just throw stuff in the ground. And that's what has happened in the past year. We figured out that ain't a good idea, okay? But they wanted to do it. They wanted to do it, and they still might. So that was a real good thing, I think, to the town. The town also tends to work decently together. The council has done a good job in being verbal and vocal with each other. I appreciate that. I don't always agree with them, but they have worked their butts off. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Tracy?
For me, the skate park, I was at the first council meeting when that was proposed and part of the art show, and my partner submitted a skateboard. That was a real community effort, led by the community, supported by town council. That was really exciting. And the other part was also defending the landfill, because that was also another community effort. And those are two real sort of Bucksport strong things. I celebrate the roads and all of those things, but I think those were two community-led council partnership things that happened in Bucksport that really changed the quality of life for people of all ages and in all parts of town. So I can't skateboard anymore, but I'm gonna try. I'm excited. I have health insurance.
Patricia?
Okay, so I have to say the skate park is right here, because my kids and I used to skateboard down the middle of Pine Street. Okay, so cars coming up can't see you. I had like guardian angels all around me. I don't do that anymore. Anyway, and the other thing, definitely the landfill, gone. Okay, but one more I want to add. Wednesdays on Main. I love Wednesdays on Main. What do you guys think? It gets you out of the house. It's something different. It's fun.
Thank you. Do we have other questions? Yes.
Thank you. Could you briefly say what you know about Heart and Soul, and what role does it play in town government in the future?
Stephen?
I was originally part of the Heart and Soul. I don't know. I haven't heard anything, a glitch of anything the past 2 years, or 3 years maybe. So I'll hand the microphone right over to Don.
It's Mark.
Mark.
As far as Heart and Soul, John Paul, I just spoke about that today, that, as I recall, one of the statements were a walkable, vibrant downtown, and I used that in describing the need to move forward with the VPI, towards doing work on Main Street.
John?
What I know about Heart and Soul, it was a community-led effort by people who worked hard to have community events, to put ideas and put them together over a long period of time about the direction of the town, of what they wanted. They brought it to the council. The council said, this is great. They put it up on the wall. It's right where it is right now. It's on the wall. That's the last time it is not being an active participant at this point. It needs to be. That was the work of the people. The work of the people needs to be respected. That was good work. That was real good work. So I am frustrated that the council gave that, yes, this is great work, but then that was as far as they went with it. They did not follow. The community garden's been stumbling. All of those kind of things have been stumbling on that, and they are not, every week, there should be a couple of those brought out. Where are we with this stuff? Where are we with this stuff? So we need to get off, we need to get it off the wall into action in this town.
Thank you. Tracy?
Yeah, so my last two campaigns, John Paul, that was essentially my blueprint, the book that I would look at to reference how I would make decisions for town council. That hasn't changed. The comprehensive plan and the heart and soul, I'll have one in one pocket, one in the other. That's essentially the hard work of the town, the hard work of the councils that were sitting at the time. And essentially, I would mold all of my decisions around that work. There's obviously some shifts, right? Things have changed, a pandemic came and all of those things, but generally, it should be our guide because it's the people's guide. And I was interviewed for that. It means a lot to me because it means a lot to you. I see it on the council wall. I was there when the council adopted it. So if I'm learning to drive on council, that'll be the book that I read when I'm referencing a decision. Yeah.
Thank you, Tracy.
I know it's not a book, it was metaphor.
Patricia?
It's a community effort that's in a book, just in case somebody thought I thought it was a book.
Yeah, Heart and Soul. I also was interviewed for that by Mrs. Lalonde, John's wife. They used to be my paper people. I miss them. They delivered my Bangor Daily. They were great. Yeah, they were great. But Heart... I'm sorry. I read the Ellsworth American, too. Yeah. So Heart and Soul is basically what this town is about. We are heart and we are soul. I mean, we have survived the mill closing. We've survived the AES. You know, that was a great fight, by the way. I made a great sign for my lawn. I had a great time doing it. And the landfill also. You know, this town has been reborn so many times we don't even know, right? And the generations that have gone, I mean, my dad was 8 years old when the Waldo Hancock was built. And him and my grandmother walked across it. And this town is full of people that love this town. This is why we will survive. And I love Heart and Soul, by the way. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes. Oh, I was pointing over there. I was pointing to Mark in the back. Sure. Make it easier on you.
Yes, this might be one that Mark can answer, and I'm sure some of you may already know. I'm just curious about this Main Street thing that we're going to do. Are they really considering parallel parking? Do you realize that most of this town is elderly people? I, for one, have a parallel park. The only way I parallel park is this is 2 spaces, so I can go in one and up to the other. But I won't be parking on Main Street, and the only parking lot we got, we can't get down to the community pharmacy or any of those. So, but I just think you got an awful lot of older people that probably haven't parallel parked since they got their driver's licenses.
I do understand that, Linda. I think a big part of it is looking 40 years forward and redoing those sidewalks to ADA compliance. I mean, if we lose a few parking spots, but we gain accessibility for those with disabilities on Main Street, I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think we can create other access from the rear parking lots. I think we can still work on that and make it better. And there is a lot of off-street parking.
Okay. Yeah, because it's very, well, that parking lot would be so convenient to anything I want to do, and I would not have to drive down on Main Street. I mean.
And that is part of a discussion, yes,
Okay.
to make that
well,
better.
good, because that's something, but I just thought, parallel parking? Well, I don't like to angle park either, but I certainly can do that better than I can do parallel, I know that. And especially when it's on the other side of the road. I mean, that's just like up in Bangor, they have that circle that goes down around. They parallel park on both sides. I could only manage to parallel park on one, if that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who was the other one over here? Nancy.
I would love to be having a discussion right now or a forum on heart and soul. So I just want to make one quick comment. I'm not running for office, but I just want to make one quick comment that I have hope that the Heart and Soul, the project that was a 3-year project, is actually alive and well. I think the skateboard, citizen initiation, the landfill, citizen initiation, that the council supported. They were open to citizens coming and really having a change of mind around what the outcome of that would be, and they supported the skateboard financially. So I think we need to be more public about, be more informed. Maybe there's a forum here at Brown Hall at some point on bringing back that heart and soul. It really is a structure of how we make decisions in our town from here versus from here, from bottom up versus top. But anyway, so my question was, I think that this council will be tasked, if I'm not incorrect, with hiring a new town manager in the next year, 2 years. And I would like to know what each of you sitting, on a committee, if you were to be hiring a town council, what would you be looking for in the next town council? What would be yes, for a town manager, town manager. What's the most important characteristic of somebody that you would want to hire?
Great. Stephen.
Okay, so I'd want someone that's young.
That works.
What I would like.
You can hold it up.
Okay, test, 1, 2, 3. Wait. Okay, there we go. All right, so I would want someone young, someone that's local, that has lived here, someone that possibly takes their kids here. I think that would be the best idea for someone to become a town manager. Someone local, someone that's progressive, someone that could definitely, serve for another 30 years. That's what we need, is a young person and someone that lives here that would definitely would be a cool idea, a new energy for the town.
Thank you, Stephen. Mark?
A couple things I would be looking for is, to look internally. We have a lot of talented people that work at the town office now, and I would look at them and give them a hard look. And secondly, I would want to find somebody that has connections in the state. I think if this town manager's proven anything, that connections within the state government, having a reputation in the state has been beneficial.
You guys can keep the mics on if you just put it down when you're not using it. Well, I just mean down if you want. But it's your turn.
Or off, or what?
It's on.
I would want somebody who ain't a rookie. The town manager job ain't easy. You need to have the ability to work hard, you need to be organized, and you need to know how to do books. You have to have multi-talented. I've been through a couple of people in this town that were hired that were way over their head. And it set this town back for a while. I don't care if you're young, old, or whatever. You've got to have some experience in dealing with municipal situations. You can't just hire somebody and say, we'll work into the job. We've got a lot going on in Bucksport right now. There are a lot of talented people in the state of Maine, or wherever. We need to bring in somebody who is experienced, strong, with the ability to listen to all people and to stay steady in the voice of crisis after crisis. Because understand where government is these days, folks. Things ain't easy. We need somebody really steady and really strong in that position.
Thank you. Tracy?
So if we're looking for a town manager in the current structure, we're going to need a town manager who is also a finance director, right? So we'd want to be sure that town manager has solid fiscal responsibility on their resume. We can't really choose gender, age, and all of those things because they violate labor laws, and this is an employee. So we'd have to be really, really objective when we're looking for a town manager. The most important thing is that they're qualified, they're skilled, and we'd really have to do the work to get references, because you do want an accessible town manager. You do want a town manager that people can talk to and a bridge builder. However, you also need a town manager that can put out fires, manage employees, manage big budgets, and deal with some of the challenges we've got, right? We've got a lawsuit with Spring Fountain. We've got some big challenges. We need a level-headed person who can be objective, who can get along with people and handle crisis calmly. I'm pretty good at reading people and talking with people, so I'd just really love to be at that table. I've worked with the current town manager for, I think, 6 years now, quite closely. I see the attributes that that she brings to the table now. We would want that, nothing less than that. So to me, skill, experience, compassion, and approachability.
Thank you. Yes.
Sure. Okay. So, I am so sad to see her leave. She was wonderful. She is wonderful. I mean, she's not dead, but she is wonderful. You know, she is always available when I want to speak to her. And we need someone like that. But we also need responsibility, we need organization, we need someone that is looking out for our town, but also a financial director. It's going to be combined?
It is combined.
Oh, it is combined. Well, live and learn, right? Thank you, sir. So, but someone that has wisdom on town affairs, that they know, that they know about little towns and what they go through, and it isn't easy. It isn't easy at all. It's not an easy job. I would not want it. No, thank you. But we do need someone that can take us further. We've done a good job so far, and I will miss Susan Lassard a lot, but we need someone similar to her.
Thank you. Can we get the microphone to Mark?
Through my work with the planning board, and I don't know what the current number is, but last year there were over 80, I would call them abandoned properties in the community that people pay the taxes on, but no one lives there. Nothing happens to these properties, and some of them aren't even maintained. At the same time, where public housing, or not public housing, but housing is kind of a pressure point, is there anything that the council could or should do to address all the abandoned properties that we see? That, I mean, that certainly maybe could go to solving the other problem.
Okay, Stephen, 1 minute.
All right, test. Okay. Here we go. We need to possibly give these abandoned homes to veterans or organizations, fix them up and let people live in there. We do not need to have more houses being torn down. If they're in okay shape, put the money right into it and give it to somebody that served your country, or Habitat for Humanity type of thing. It'd be a great project.
Thank you, Stephen. Mark?
Yeah, we are aware of the housing issues that Mark brings up, and I know the code enforcement officer is working on it. He is, I believe, next meeting bringing something forward, Mark, but it's been hard, like with Spring Fountain, to get through the court system, which makes it all the more challenging. One aspect I have talked a bit to the code enforcement officer about is some municipalities are charging fees on abandoned homes to try to move that process along a little bit. And I would be interested in looking at those sorts of things to try to see some movement in it.
Thank you. Don?
It's not an easy issue. We need to focus. We need to bring people like you into the system who are interested in that issue and dealing with it. Courts, all kinds of snafus get involved with that. There's all kinds of messes when you're trying to deal with an abandoned place. There's all kinds of issues. It's an issue that is here. It's an issue that probably will be growing. But we need to bring in talented people like yourself that will be a part of the solution. So, as a member of the council, I don't have the answers, but I know where to go to get people onto that. We need people like you bringing that issue to the council, making it public, and being part of the solution.
Thank you. Tracy?
Yeah, I mean, some towns buy old houses and sell them to developers. That's one way I think you can tackle some of those blighted houses and those properties. I've watched every town council meeting for the last 3 years, and I know there's just a long docket of properties that we're in the process as a town of trying to get remediated, either torn down, rehabbed, or something. And I personally have been working on the human level of one of those situations with code enforcement. It isn't an easy process. My organization has, I think I have like 25 buildings now, and we've been a landlord for a long time. It's really hard to get things moving with bricks and mortar, particularly empty. But I think there are some things we could do. I think, the initiative that Councilor Morrison brought up a few years ago about repairing seniors' homes, that's a step in the right direction. That prevents houses from getting into poor shape in the first place, right? That's a long, lofty term goal. But I think we could look at some other models around the country. I don't have any Hail Marys right now. It's certainly an idea that's been floated in lots of different towns. With Spring Fountain, we don't have any control over that. And that's the other thing to remember. We don't own these properties. And so we have to go through a system that's not in town council's control to get movement on that. And I do know that's in the works. And as a landlord in my career, it's really challenging to get through any legal process to get any kind of control of that.
Thank you, Tracy. Patricia?
Yeah, I like what Steve said about veterans. Our oldest son is a veteran, and my father was, my brother is, and it seems to me that we have not taken care of our veterans very well. I'm not saying in the town, I'm saying in our country. I would do whatever it took to work with, contractors, people of the town, anyone that could lend a hand. Habitat for Humanity, that's a wonderful organization. I have carpenters in my family. I know they could volunteer hours. I'm so glad you brought that up, Mark. It's a great question, and there are so many people that do not have a place to live that could sorry, I'm a little nervous, could live in these houses, with just, maybe some volunteer work. I'm willing. How about you?
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes. Mark is bringing you the.
The animal shelter, which is deplorable. We serve multiple communities for a pittance per animal per day. While we don't need a $3 or $4 million facility, we need more than a shack with no running water. How important is that to you, and what can you do on the council?
Perhaps maybe just a 30-second update, because I think there are some some very recent updates on that.
Yeah,
Before we
I fully
start.
agree with you. I think where it's located is not conducive to the animals. It sits in the dark for much of the winter. I'm a proponent of doing something different. The problem was we arrived at a price tag on a commercial building that wasn't really workable. The code enforcement officer is working with some contractors to get that number down, to see if we can get it down. And then combined with some fundraising, I'm optimistic that that could be another community project like the skate park.
Thank you. Stephen?
As people know, I'm an animal lover, and I'm an avid supporter of the new animal shelter. We definitely got to give them something better, something with better breathing air, better ventilation. I'm 120% in favor of that, 120%.
Thank you. I'm just going to go right to Dawn. Yeah.
We all, hopefully, care about animals. The idea of giving them viable, decent place to be is obvious. To put up with anything less than that is not humane. It ain't humane. Other towns need to participate and to pay fair share also. It costs dough. It costs dough. That animal shelter needs to be visible. It needs to have it has a community opponent, not just the person. It needs to have some citizen input and citizen participation in bringing that forward. I mean, there are a lot of people here who put a lot of time into animal welfare. I can see two people in this room right now who put their daily lives on the line for animals. You're one of them, Michelle. Petra, you're the other. We need to do a humane, decent job for animals, or we as a culture ain't making it.
Thank you.
We need a new animal shelter. I think where we have made a decision as a town to be a full-service town, I'm going to add animal shelter to that, right? That's a responsibility that we've taken on as a town. If we're going to have an animal shelter, it needs to be a humane one. It also needs to be a safe workplace. Remember, we have an employee at the animal shelter. So I support that. I was shocked by the price tag as well, but that's no surprise either, because I'm shocked by every price tag I see every single day. So we're back at the table. I'm optimistic that we'll do something. I'm really inspired by what you said, though, about a community effort. We could do this. If we got a skate park to happen, if we were able to stop the landfill, we can certainly pitch in. I do think we need to reassess other town buy-in, though, right? We're servicing 5, I think, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, other towns with their shelter. And like a recent experience I had with work with code enforcement and animal control involved of just more than 6 cats. And that's just, we're Bucksport, serving Bucksport, but we're serving all these other towns. So I think we can assess what what inflation is, how that's impacting the cost of a new build, and put some of that cost onto other towns that can manage it within their budget. Bucksport does not have to carry the load for every other town. We can ask for more in relation to their capacity to give. I'm all for it. I'm sorry that it was such a high price tag. I was pretty excited about that coming to fruition, but I certainly get that struggle. I think we'll find another solution, and yeah.
Thank you. Tricia?
Yes. What you said, Dawn, about if we do not take care of our animals, well, then what kind of people are we, right? All our animals want is love. And I am all for a community effort to get it so that it's a place where you would want your animal to be, right?
Thank you.
Yes. And she's amazing. Who is it? What's her first name?
Autumn Bishop.
Autumn, sorry.
There was a question right behind, and this will be the last question. Was there a question around here? I thought I saw a hand at the same time. No? Okay. Do you have a question, David? I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it to Stephen when he comes back, and we'll just start with Mark. Can you get, who has the microphone? There you go.
Is this on? Hi, I'm David Wida. I'll try to frame it as a question, but I'd like to say that one of the things that I'm proudest about in Bucksport in the last 3 years has been that we have pulled off the organizing and the resulting outcome of a Pride Festival in 2021, again in 2022, and again in 2023. That should be a point of pride for the entire community. I'll segue into the fact that for 3 years and 5 weeks, there have been people standing on our bridge between Bucksport and Verona Island that call themselves Solidarity Bucksport. I couldn't be prouder of affiliating with those individuals, many of whom are in this room, that stand on that bridge and have on and off for the last 3 years plus 5 weeks. My perspective is that is a good thing for our town. I have talked with perfect strangers who have moved to town over the last 3 years, and when they, in their conversation with me, learned that I'm part of Solidarity Bucksport, they have literally said, we saw the demonstrations on Saturday when we were looking for housing in the area, and that was one of the deciding factors for us to move to Bucksport, a community that was aware of social issues that are present in our culture. We do not live in a vacuum. Bucksport's a part of Maine. Maine's a part of the United States. If we don't deal effectively and openly with these issues that are being discussed in small groups and in family dinner table settings and in our schools with our bright students who are aware of their future and what their future might hold, if we don't understand how we learn to live together, work together, and treat our animals with great love and respect, the same amount of love and respect that we should treat all of our citizens. So I would like to ask all of the folks who are running for town council if we could hope to see greater commitment to dialogue, where people can understand what their neighbors are dealing with and what their neighbors are trying to express publicly when they stand on a sidewalk with a sign, and how we can continue that process of public information sharing through demonstration that is noticed by a lot of people driving through town. The last 3 weeks, after having 5 weeks of counter demonstrators showing up on the bridge, I've had strangers in town who just know me because of my position in that have walked up to me and said, don't let these people scare you away. We appreciate you being there. And I'm here tonight to say that everybody that stands with me on Saturdays has already committed to not leaving that position. People with signs that are hateful, people with signs that have profanity on them, people that jump out in traffic and really disturb traffic by talking with drivers.
Thank you,
We don't
David.
want them on the street, on the sidewalk, doing that in our town. So please put a good word out there for those of us who are acting with civility, peacefulness, kindness, and love, and a hope for a better future for our community and our state. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Can we reflect on the?
What was the question?
The question is are you willing to commit
Listen
to having open conversation
and
and
dialogue.
dialogue around the notion of public demonstration and how we deal with these huge issues that are affecting our nation and our world?
Stephen?
Mr. Wida, thank you very much. I am 140% in solidarity with, talking to the people and confronting these issues head on, and being a voice, and also helping them out as much as I can. I stand out there with Mr. Wida and one wonderful group of people. So diversity is the key to humanity. We need to be kind to each other. We need to listen. We need to be their advocates. We need to be there for them.
Thank you, Stephen. Mark?
I'm completely supportive of, of people protesting on social issues, completely.
Don?
Again, all people are equal. All viewpoints should be heard. Left, right, green, yellow, pink, upside down, what sex you are, whatever you are. If you're a human being, you're my equal. We need to be decent. We need to be civil. Other than that, we need to learn to talk to each other, which is being lost. I think the council can play a part in being open to all people. It gets uncomfortable. It pushes buttons. Some people react. But if you want to have a community, a real community, where all people have a voice, then you got to work for it. All people need to have respect. All people need to have respect. I ain't no better than anybody else. You ain't no better than me. And I think it's time for all of us to understand that. And there are different viewpoints. People see the world differently. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. We need to talk about it.
Thank you so much, Don. Tracy?
Freedom of speech is freedom of speech, right? So I think town government has not stopped people from being on the bridge and expressing their voices, and I would continue in that same vein. No matter who is out there and no matter what they're saying, a representative government is a representative government, even if some things they say may hurt me and hurt how I feel. That I hold that value very deeply. I think our current council has nobody stepped in to stop that, nor would they have any authority to do that. I think we are at a crossroads in our town. I think we're naive to think that that doesn't exist. I'm fortunate to be in a position where I have friends and close people with all viewpoints, even viewpoints that I find hard to hear. I respect their right to say that and express that how they choose to, just like I would ask of you to express, to respect the way I choose to have discussions with people with different viewpoints. I'm a different type of communicator, but there's room for all types of communication in Bucksport, and I would support all types of communication in Bucksport, providing it didn't cause harm to people in traffic and children especially.
Thank you. Patricia?
I definitely agree in freedom of speech. We do live in a free country. I think my opinion is that it should be done respectfully. You can express your opinion without being rude, without violence. If you think about it, I mean, you can. Like sitting at the dinner table. I do not talk about politics and religion in public. I'm not a stupid person. I talk about it at home. You know, my husband and I are on totally opposite ends of the fence, which makes for a very interesting conversation. You know, and just because we don't agree doesn't mean we don't love each other. You know, I have friends that we have totally different views on a lot of things, but we're still friends. But that is, you know, the essence of getting along. Be kind. Don't be mean to people. You know, if you don't like their opinion, well, you don't have to have it as your opinion or your view. I do agree in peaceful protesting, as long as people are peaceful and they are not being dangerous.
Thank you so much, Patricia. I'm going to end it there at an hour and a half. And oh, thank you. And can we have the applause for our candidates? And to Dawn for his part in organizing. Oh, yes. And also, I want to thank my husband for helping me fulfill the request of streaming. And thank you to you all for coming and your. Yes. Oh.
Thank you. You did a great job.